You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump biographer exposes real scheme behind new Pentagon stunt, based on an article by Thomas Keeker. Masculinity as government. Pete Hegseth turns the Pentagon into campaign propaganda. The source story. Pete Hegseth announced that military officers over 30 would face testosterone tests and, if deficient, hormone replacement therapy. Michael Wolff says the stunt is less about medicine than positioning Hegseth for a possible 2028 presidential run. That is the reported frame. The deeper story is who gets to convert state power into identity theater. The real decision maker. Hegseth is not a confused commentator throwing out odd opinions on table. He is the defense secretary. That means he holds institutional power over the military, and he is using that power to broadcast a political signal. Whether the testosterone scheme is enacted, floated, or later softened, the damage is already in the use of the Pentagon as a venue for macho branding. This is not policy in search of a rationale. It is performance in search of a constituency. The target audience is not service members with a medical need. It is a Trump bro ecosystem. Wolff describes voters trained to read domination, resentment, and gender panic as political authenticity. The useful confusion. The article treats the announcement as bizarre, and that is convenient because absurdity can function as cover. Mockery makes people laugh at the spectacle instead of tracing the chain of responsibility. But there is nothing accidental about the structure here. Hegseth says the armed forces lack masculine energy. Then he proposes a pseudo-medical screening regime that flatters the same grievance. The message is not we need better readiness. It is I am the kind of man who will police manhood from inside the Pentagon. That is deliberate political signaling, not administrative drift. Wolff is speculating, not proving. Wolff's 2028 claim should be read as inference, not fact. He is reading the move as a campaign marker, and that may well be right. Hegseth has not generated the same public chatter as J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, which is exactly why this matters. The people angling for future power do not all announce themselves through normal political channels. If Wolff is right, the testosterone announcement is less an isolated stunt than an audition tape. Hegseth is testing whether he can translate culture war crudity into a national profile. That is the basic Margaret lesson: abandon policy, intensify identity, and treat every institution as a stage. What the framing hides, the weak point in the reporting, is the temptation to frame this as confusion, embarrassment, or another oddity from the Trump orbit. That framing understates the function of the move. The issue is not that Hegseth said something strange. It is that a senior official is using the machinery of the defense establishment to validate a politics of masculine grievance. That is how institutional decay works in public. It is presented as chaos when it is actually method. The clownishness is part of the authority. The spectacle makes the abuse of power easier to dismiss, and the dismissal makes it easier to repeat. The pattern. This is the modern authoritarian style. In miniature, take a serious institution, flood it with cultural resentment, and blur the line between governance and personal brand building. The point is not competence. The point is control over the narrative of strength. Hegseth's testosterone theater is not just about him. It shows how the Trump system turns public office into a recruitment platform for future strongmen, where military authority becomes marketing and political ambition hides inside performative cruelty. That is the pattern worth naming. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article, with the automated voice of Norman. Thanks for listening.